right, all right, all right. We are ready to go. Hello, everyone. I'm getting better with this music and the intro, but I'm not there yet. So, y'all, please forgive me. I have my guest, my special guest. I have Mitzi Magabee, and she is a returning guest. She is also one of the speakers for the GT Summit. And so that's why she's returning, because I want you all to meet the speakers who's going to be there representing their topics. And their topics is going to help you in whatever area that you may not feel that you are handling it at the best that you want to be. And so that's why generational turnaround, where we seek the truth and then we bring you the proof. That's what my mandate from God is to seek the truth. There's so many fabrications that our young people are believing, that even we are believing. We don't know what's the truth and what's not, because as when I was young, I was told everything's shiny and gold. Everything that you are hearing, these rumors, that's not the truth. If you go back to the word, to where it all started, and you're older now, and you can read it, and there's so many versions of it now that we can understand. Believe me, it will make a difference in your life if you go back to the beginning. So, and that's the same thing with our nutrition. What did God put us in? He put us in the Garden of Eden. Right now, there were 6 people that we lost in my little town in 1 week to heart attacks. Now I know this is not what we are supposed to be talking about today, but yes, it is, because it's all a generation of turnaround. We've got to turn around our health. We got to turn around thinking that it's about the wealth. We got to stop thinking about if we don't get enough money, we got to get more and more and more. And we forgetting about one another. So I'm bringing Mitzi here today because we're going to talk about there's a lot of people that are in prison. And I have the stats to the 10% that are not guilty. There's a lot of people that they've been given sentences that are outrageous. And not because they should be the judge of what God, only God is the judge. But man has made it in his mind that he's going to do whatever he wants. And I'm going to bring Mitzi to let us know what she has experienced being an advocate against death row. And I'm going to let her tell you the rest, because I don't want to speak for her. I want her to maybe give you an example of what's going to happen when you go and meet her at the GT Summit. Hello, Mitzi. Thank you for coming again and really enlightening me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, you heard my spiel, and I'm an advocate because of you when it comes to the death penalty and loving and caring about people. So I want you to come in and start off with telling them about hooked on justice and what does that mean?
All right, Hooked on Justice. Uh, I run the Mississippi chapter. It is a national uh, group for justice, criminal justice, prison reform. We try to ensure in Mississippi what I do is I try to make sure that inmates get their medical care, that they're treated fairly, that just whatever their human rights, uh, make sure they're upheld. Um, and then I'm branching off to a different organization that we're just now starting called Leaders for Life. That's going to be my death row, life without parole initiative. We're going to try to abolish death row and life without parole because when you think about it, life without parole is also a death sentence.
Yes.
Um, so we need to abolish that. We need to start thinking more in the lines like some European countries do, and they never sentence anybody for more than 25 years. And their recidivism rate is extremely low because what they do is the people go to prison, they learn how to work as a community, they learn how to handle day-to-day problems, day-to-day jobs, work in a neighborhood together, and then they're equipped better to go out into society and 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 tackle these things. Here in Mississippi and in America in general, it's lock them up, don't allow them to do anything, and throw away the key. And that's just not working for our society. It's Mississippi is actually the most incarcerated place in the world. We tend to throw our people away. We for for things that they shouldn't be. Uh, we just had a man released 2 weeks ago yesterday that was serving a life sentence for marijuana. He had served 38 years of a life sentence for marijuana. I helped in having him released. He is now released. Unfortunately, he's not in good health for the many years of prison, and but his family has him now. They are caring for him. They are um, showing him love, showing him the things he needs, and this man will never reoffend again. Number one, just because it was a simple marijuana offense, and number two, he's a different person now. And that's what we have to look at. We have to look at forgiveness. We have to look at what changes an individual. And in my experience, it's been time. The longer they have done, time has changed them and changed how they view things. But now there are things opening up, opportunities opening up in, just for example, Parchman is now having HVAC classes. CDL classes will be starting soon. Welding classes are already underway. Um, they are teaching life skills. Um, they can also go to academic college if they like to go that way. They have trade schools. and they have academic schools. And you can get a 4 year degree, you can get a master's degree, you can get a 2 year degree, or you can go to a trade school and get your certificates. They have forklift certificates. They, like I said, welding, HVAC, auto body, auto shop, machine repair. It's so many. It's things are starting to open up. Now, we're still in trouble with some of our prisons, treating our people badly, but I think together, if we all come together, then we can make a definite change. I work closely with the administration to try to ensure these men and women um, have their constitutional rights upheld, and that they're treated like the human beings they deserve to be treated as.
My God. Okay, I gotta stop you right there, Mitzi. My God. Now, now that sounds like the Department of Corrections.
It does.
Yes, that is where men and women who go into the system, instead of being treated like a number, they're treated like people. And they made a mistake. Now, instead of sending them back out into the world the same way as they came in, or even more bitter, now they have the opportunity to get better.
And it's slowly it's going into all prisons. I'm not saying that our prisons are perfect. They're by far not perfect. We need to work on them more and more. We need to write our legislators. Um, we need to ensure that these men and women are able to get life skills while they're there, so they don't go out and repeat their mistakes. But I can see somewhat of a change. It just needs to be a lot more drastic than what it has been. But even for, just let's take example, death row. Death row used to spend 23 hours a day in their cells, locked down, never allowed out, um, not allowed to interact or anything. The new administration has decided to let death row out for, I believe, 12 hours a day, 7A to 7P. They take music classes, they take writing classes, they take life skill classes, they take Bible classes, they are allowed to play sports. They have a play coming up in May, with their take on the death penalty, in a Wizard of Oz kind of scenario that they're writing. They're actively writing their own play. They 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 did a talent show not too long ago that I was honored to attend. They're very talented. They they possess talents that nobody would ever know if they were locked behind a door 23 hours a day, and now they're being allowed to blossom. I was just there last Friday and they were digging their garden. They will have a full vegetable garden this year, just like last year. And they were out there digging their garden and getting ready to plant their vegetable garden. And it's just amazing to see, and it's amazing to see this kind of, I guess you would call it an experiment, to see if death row is able to function outside of their cells, which they have passed 100% so far.
So, is there any that are protesting this?
uh, Protesting them being out.
Yes. The
Yes,
the changes that has been made at Parchment, is it being
yes,
protested?
we do have, and I want to say I'm not sure exactly who they are, but there are a few senators, and state representatives that feel like they shouldn't be allowed to have any freedom at all. But that's not the way we think, and that's not the way to be proactive. And I believe they will prove all these people to be wrong. As I walk on death row, I sit with death row. They are not in shackles, they are not in chains, and I feel perfectly safe with these men. They're very educated men that that know things. They honestly know things, and I posted on my website, Hooked on Justice Mississippi, on Facebook. There is a man, the one and only man on death row, that has gotten married January 20 of 2023. The only man to be married while on death row in Mississippi. And and then they they're just really blossoming, and it only makes them grow, and it only makes them have a better attitude, and it only makes things run smoother for them to be allowed the freedoms they've gotten here lately.
That's what I that's what I was thinking. Wouldn't it run smoother if they had certain freedom that makes them feel like a human being
Like
instead of
a human.
treated like they don't exist and they should not have those freedoms. And that is what the senators are arguing, that they're in there and they should not have any freedoms.
I believe there's two or three that think that, and it's very narrow minded, it's very old school, and I believe that we will overcome that in time. Um, of course, if you're on death row, you have victims, and you have victims' families,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that they're probably opposed to it. But I do also believe that God teaches us that forgiveness will set you free,
Mm.
and I don't know how long it will take for some of the families to forgive, but forgiveness is not for the perpetrator, it's for the victim. Because when you're able to forgive, you set yourself free, and you free yourself of the hate that you have festering inside of you. And it does nobody any good. Um, Hating somebody and wanting revenge accomplishes nothing. It brings nobody back that has died. It just makes you a bitter person. And while I sympathize deeply with the victims' families, and I can't even imagine how they feel, I do believe if there's some sort of forgiveness there, that it will set them free and help them to feel better.
And have you met anyone that is a victim and you had to have a conversation with about what you are doing to help those incarcerated?
I
Have you
haven't
been challenged, rather?
I haven't yet. I know that they're talking about having a groundbreaking kind of initiative at Parchman to bring in victims to meet with the perpetrators, to um, to sort things out, to hear each other's side of the story, to heal each other. I think that will be a good idea. Of course, there will be, you know, things that I don't know of, psychologists involved and everything. But I did hear talk that they might try to do that. And I think it would be only for the good, even if the victims just wanted to let the people know, let the perpetrators know just how bad they've hurt them. And I think it will help the perpetrators to see that they didn't just do something and not hurt anybody, that there were people hurt in that. I think it goes both ways. I think it
Yeah.
goes a forgiveness way, and for the perpetrators, it helps them see that there are humans involved.
You're right. And we had a generation of turnaround with the actions of, well, I'm going to say parchment, because that's where everything is changed. All the change that has been done has been at parchment, right?
It seems to have been the most change done there. They're offering, like I said, all those classes, and
Yeah.
not only that, but they're having sports teams, which teaches you how to get along with each other and you have
Hmm.
to work together. They have a
Hmm.
boxing team. Um, they just that so there's recreation, there's activities, there's education, and
Hmm.
it's a hard parchment is a hard um, reputation to overcome.
Hmm.
But I believe that the two men there, the superintendent and the deputy superintendent, are putting their everything into it to turn it around. Like you said, a generational turnaround. They
Yeah.
have family days there twice a year where families come and play outside with their families that are incarcerated. They have bouncy houses for the kids. They have a cookout. They have music, and it's like a picnic, and the kids get to see their dads, their uncles, their granddads, um, in a more humanized way because they're outside playing together. And I believe that these actions that the two men that are in charge are taking will make a turnaround for the men
Hmm.
that are incarcerated for when they actually walk out of the gate, they'll have
Hmm.
the tools to face whatever life throws at them and to handle it without going back to the life they lived before.
That's right. And see, that should be first and utmost what is going to make a difference. Because if not, they're going to come, they're going to get released, and they're going to go out into this world as bitter men and women. Because this world is not going to be ready for that attitude.
No,
They're going to end up right back in there. And see, and what happens to the children? The children grow up with their fathers or mothers being repeat offenders because they have no education that can make a difference in their life. And so, no, it's not college. No, you're not. But look what it will do for these men and women. They're coming out of there with certifications that they didn't go in there with.
correct.
So
And I believe us as the public have got to push the legislators of Mississippi to make this possible at all the prisons and to
yeah.
make it a reality and make it standard operating procedure that
Mm-hmm.
when somebody comes in, you sign them up for some sort of class, some
Mm-hmm.
sort of skill, something like that, because
Mhm.
they need that, because we don't want drug dealers
Mhm.
going back out to be drug dealers. We
Right.
want drug dealers to come in and decide that they can do something else. So they need to take some kind of trade class, some kind of college course, anything but
Mhm.
going back out to be a drug dealer again. They've got to be able to get a skill, some sort of skill set.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody that's watching right now, you have a loved one that can possibly, and I don't know, it's we know we're speaking of parchment right now, but I'm sure that's not the only correctional facility that's going through this, right, Mitzi?
It's not. I know I talked to the superintendents at the other main facilities, and I realized that now I've realized that Greene County, which is also called Southern Mississippi Correctional Institution, is trying to implement this. They have been implementing sports
Mm-hmm.
classes and on a smaller scale now, but they're building up. They're building up to it. And I'm hoping that Rankin County Central Mississippi Correctional Facility, they've got a few things going also, and I hope that they'll all ramp up and do
Mm-hmm.
what our people need us to do. But uh, I think we're moving in the right direction with that. But I think another critical issue that we need to address in Mississippi is the older disabled people that we have in prison on life sentences that are not ever going to get out, and um, they're not allowed to get out. But I literally have some people that are dying. They're dying, and I cannot get them out of prison because of their charges. Um,
Mm-hmm.
their murder or something violent like that. But literally, these people can't lift their head off a bed. So we're costing the state so much money to
Mm-hmm.
keep these people in prison and to lay in a hospital bed in prison and
Mm-hmm.
have nurses and doctors take care of them when we could let their families take care of them,
Right.
and they're not any kind of harm to society at all because they can't even stand. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we're going to have to push the legislators to see, that we have to end life sentences.
And
And we have to
well,
end it.
that's their life anyway. They've already given their life.
They've given their life. They've
So
paid their debt.
they paid the debt to society. And so why keep them there?
Let them die with dignity.
Well,
Let
man,
them die with dignity.
and so these everybody that's watching here, what do they need to do to make sure the prison in their town, state, or wherever take up the same that Parchman did? Do the same thing in order to get all of that activity in that prison.
I would suggest people to write uh, the Commissioner Burl Kane in Jackson, Mississippi, and let him know that you like what's happening at Parchment and you'd like to see it in every facility statewide.
Mhm.
And because he is the man that can make it happen. I would also like to suggest to people to write their legislators and let them know that we do not want dying people in our prisons. We want people that are dying, uh, or people that have served exorbitant amount of times, 30, 40, 50 years,
Mhm.
to be able to go home. to go what's left of home.
Yeah.
And we have to get very closely involved with this. And we also need people to get on board with us. When I'll get my Leaders for Life going up by our summit, and I'll be signing people up to for petitions to end death row, end the death penalty, end life without parole sentences. It costs our state a ton of money. There's no deterrent to crime to it, and we can rehabilitate these people. It doesn't need to be a lost cause. No soul is a lost cause.
And so you're telling those with family members that are in prison that the state has said, well, we've got them here. They're not going to be changed. There's nothing. We just they're just waiting out time. And people on the outside is believing that. And so they've given up on their loved ones until they get out. What what would you say about giving up on your loved ones that's in prison who is going to get out?
Never give up on your loved ones inside, even if they do not have a date to get out. Always keep the faith. God can turn the key. God can turn the key. God can put it on men's hearts to change laws, to help us to see that no soul is a lost soul. When you put people in prison and tell them they'll never get out, not ever get out, then what you're doing is you're giving them no reason to be good. You're causing more chaos and more violence because they go to prison with the mindset, well, I'm never getting out of here anyway, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be as bad as I can because guess what? They've told me I'll never see the light of day again. But when you give people hope, when you give them hope and you tell them, if you accomplish this, and you accomplish this, and you accomplish this, when you accomplish these things I've set forth to you, then we will look at you going home to be with your family. That gives people hope, and that makes people want to do better.
And that's no different than for us on the outside. If we working for a company that's going to reward us for good service, gonna reward us for making something happen for their company, then of course we're gonna work hard and make sure that that company flourish. The same thing that you were talking about in prison. These are
That's
the same people who came from the outside world, and right now their life is being regulated.
that's
And
right.
we can regulate them negative or positive. It's according to the results that they want from that prisoner. Is that what you is that it?
That is it. Bottom line, we can make them behave worse or we can make them behave better. And it's the tactics we use that will either way. That one of the tactics is you'll never see the light of day again. You'll never get out of prison. That's no incentive to act better. But if you make a plan with them and you write on this plan what you need them to do, whether it's complete drug and alcohol counseling, to complete that and take a class to get a certificate or some sort of skill, You make them a list of what they need to do. And once they've accomplished that, then you can revisit their behavior, their accomplishments, and then decide if they're ready for society.
We Generational Turnaround Summit is going to happen on the 6th and the 7th. And Mitzi is going to be there. We're going to have panelists, round tables, where you'll be able to go walk up there and sit at her table and discuss with her your fear and then what you think that your loved one needs. A request has been requesting and you haven't been able to maybe get in touch with the right person. Joining Hooks on Justice before you come. Isn't that right, Mitzi?
That
Join
is
before.
right.
Yeah.
Join before Hooked on Justice Mississippi chapter. And if you join and ask me a question, ask me to help your loved ones, ask me which way to go for you to help your loved ones, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to tell you who to contact. I'm happy to contact people for you. I'm happy to guide. I'm happy to help. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to assist you through this terrible time that you're going through with your loved ones being away from you.
And now, Generational Turnaround is now a nonprofit. And I have the privilege of helping you with transitional resources. And number one, we want to help young men who are incarcerated and have children. They may have been a single parent when whatever happened, and their children may be in the custody of their mother or grandmother or grandfather is taking care of them right now. And we want to help them transition a re-entry. So I'm working on transitional housing where
Nice.
they can get out of prison, have an address. Because even for us out here, if you don't have an address and you're applying for a job, they want you to have an address.
They do.
You got to have identification of who you are. You've got to, you got driver's license, social security card. You need food. You need clothing. You need to be presentable when you go to apply for a job. So all that's transitional resources. And I'm gonna ask Mitzi to join me as finding different resources that I can have in place for when these young men, and I chose young men because there's a lot of resources for single mothers.
A lot, but
And you
none
don't,
for men.
yes, you don't even hear that in conversation
Not
about
at all.
a single father that incarcerated for whatever the reason, but he is coming home and he needs to have this in place. So that is why I'm asking anyone out there who wants to get involved, don't have time to get involved, but want to finance, to be a financial blessing to Mitzi and Hook on Justice, or to myself with generational turnaround. Mitzi, how can they get in touch with you? Oh,
Um,
oh,
you can go to Facebook, Hooked on Justice Mississippi chapter. You can email me at mitzimag@yahoo.com, or you can call me at 662-633-1542.
one more time, the phone number.
Call me or text me. I do both.
Yes.
662-633-1542.
Okay. Now, Mitzi, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to give y'all the Eventbrite number for this summit, for the GT summit. So I'm gonna let you we're gonna take a 30 minutes so that I can play this so that you will be able to get in touch with us. Okay, now y'all know how I am when it comes to this, but I'm gonna make it happen. Okay, one more time. All right, that's it. It's Eventbrite GT Summit. If you don't have to remember all those numbers. Just go to Eventbrite and put in GT Summit. The tickets are only $10. That's because we want you there. And we have 16 speakers who's gonna talk about topics that you're interested in, that can make a difference in your life. And as you see, Mitzi is one who's, if you've got somebody in prison, that's, you want to talk to Mitzi. And don't think that it's all over. It's too late. There's nothing that can be done. There's always God first, but God. So, Mitzi, can you let us end this podcast with last words that you want to leave my viewers with?
I think my last words will be, we need to stay positive. We need to stay upbeat. If you have a loved one in prison or jail, be supportive. They're going through a hard time. Don't give up on them. Don't lose faith in them. And just get behind us, because we need to do away with capital punishment. Capital punishment shouldn't exist anymore. We are not God. The state of Mississippi is not God. We do not have the right to tell somebody when their life is going to end. And I hope to see everybody at the summit, and I'll be there and answer any questions. I'll answer any questions you text me with, or call me with, or get on my Facebook page with. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Mitzi. I pray that today is better than yesterday, but not as good as tomorrow. I pray that tomorrow will bring forth a double helping of blessing in the form of opportunity that we never saw coming. Thank you all.
Thank
And
you.
good night. And I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let this Eventbrite go one more time while we me and Mitzi have a couple minutes with each other. Okay, here it comes, you all. And listen to my theme song, okay?
It's
Yeah,
a good one.
this my theme song.
Creating a community where we all can take a stand. Neighborhood gatherings where connections are made. Community where support won't fade. Communication channels for neighbors to share. Resources and information for the young people gaining newly released, seeking knowledge from the others, and they take time and then explain. Explain. Sun brings the hope, empowering communities, helping them cope. Generations
Good night, everyone.